get to this news. Now, this is by USA Today, okay? And this is exactly what happened on Christmas Day. We talked about this last night on the show, like I said, at Troubled Minds. But Anthony Quinn Warner, person of interest in Nashville bombing, was a longtime resident with electronics expertise. And so this is a little bit curious. So if you don't know, actually, here, let's get the CNN brief. I still got this from last night. So let's play this just to brief you on exactly what happened, and then we'll get into this particular article here.
Nashville police just put out this image of the RV that exploded this morning. CNN security correspondent Josh Campbell is in Los Angeles. This is the first time we are getting that image from the Nashville police, Josh, of that RV. They said that it was parked at 1:22 a.m. What more are they saying?
Yeah, we are getting that indication of exactly what they are looking for. We know that authorities have been crowdsourcing with the public, trying to gather any tips, any information people might have. And this is important because now this type of information is something that someone who was perhaps in the downtown area of Nashville that maybe saw a vehicle or saw a driver, it's hard to really conceptualize, what they're talking about without the imagery. And here we see this is what authorities say was that vehicle that exploded. This looks as though just a standard Class C motorhome. It looks like a Ford Econoline van on the front there in the cab. But again, this is the vehicle that they think was parked and then later exploded. Of course, so many questions surrounding this incident. We know that just after 6 a.m., authorities arrived. They received a call of shots fired downtown, responding. And when they got there, what they were met with was something that was so bizarre, a voice on a recording saying that a bomb was going to go off in 15 minutes. Authorities quickly clearing that area, trying to get people out. And obviously, it did detonate, causing that mass destruction that you spoke about a minute earlier. But this is the image that the federal authorities, local authorities have put out. They want to know that if anyone saw this vehicle or has any tips, they want to hear from you. The FBI has set up a special website. They are also asking people to call 1-800-CALL-FBI if they have any information at all. That will be obviously an intensive part of this investigation, trying to determine the identity of this driver so they can locate this person. They don't yet know, at least we're hearing from our sources, they don't know whether this person perished inside that explosion or whether this person is at large, but they want to hear from the public with any tips, Bianna.
Okay, so that's how this started. This was one of the initial reports from CNN. And so there's additional information now. So at this point, I haven't collected this information. We'll probably talk about this tomorrow. But they think this has been a solved thing already. So we will talk about that as this information starts to kind of come in tonight. And it will be on the news show tomorrow. But they think they've located this Anthony Quinn Warner fellow. But let's talk about exactly what they're saying about him before they even got to the conclusion of this. As they say, like I always talk about, it's the media is a group of individuals that cannot be trusted. So let's look at this closely. Let's think about this critically, and let's continue to wonder. Let's continue to have open minds and troubled minds. So here we go. Anthony Quinn Warner, person of interest in Nashville bombing, was a longtime resident with electronics expertise, okay? Which, again, you probably didn't hear many places. Anthony, he's a person of interest. He was 63, a longtime Nashvilleian who held several IT jobs. Federal authorities scoured the city for evidence on Warner. Public records show he had an extensive experience with electronics and alarm systems. He worked as an independent computer technician with the real estate firm Friedrich & Clark. Federal agents searched his home in Antioch, Tennessee, and the Friedrich & Clark real estate office in Nashville on Saturday. And Saturday, of course, was the day after Christmas. Google Street View images of Warner's home show a white RV parked behind a wooden fence on the property. His neighbors reported seeing the RV at the home for years. Okay, so it's the same white RV was at the center of the blast Friday morning on 2nd Avenue in downtown Nashville. Police said the explosion came from the RV soon after a speaker system broadcast a warning to evacuate the area. Authorities have not identified whose human tissue was found Friday at the blast site. Daryl DeBusk, a public affairs official for the FBI, said Sunday. He could not provide an estimate on when the results would be available. So I just saw the news conference. It is available, and they're saying it was him. Okay, so we'll, like I said, as this kind of develops and comes out again, we will talk about the rest of this tomorrow as this, quote, wraps up. Okay, but also notably that RV is there's the photograph of what it is, and here is the actual countdown audio that we played this on the Troubled Mind show last night as well. But I think it's important to hear this in its context just before the explosion here. So let's hear what the actual this RV was playing just before the explosion happened, and this was on Christmas morning in Nashville. Here was audio from the loudspeaker that was playing on top of the RV. Okay, so some really weird stuff going on there. So there's a loudspeaker somewhere within or on top of this RV that's actually broadcasting out just before the explosion that if you can hear this, evacuate now. Okay, so there's some really weird things happening here. If this appears to be what is known as a suicide bombing, then why would you place a loudspeaker warning people to get away? And then there's some other a little bit odd implications with this. So let's talk about that real fast, and then we'll move on. So like I said, if you want the full rundown on this or the real tinfoil hack conspiracy type speculation stuff, we did a full 3 hours on this last night. Had lots of good people call in and talk about this. So if you want that, it's available. It is hot off the press, just happened last night. So go check that out. There's a replay on YouTube. You can find all that on troubledminds.org. It's actually right on the front page of troubledminds.org right now. Okay, so with that said, now this is the part that struck me as a little bit odd. Okay, so let's move on to this next part of this. This is tweeted by David French. I see the chat, guys. I'll catch up in just a sec. So David French tweeted this, and this is a curious part of this entire thing. So this AT&T bombing outage is extraordinary. Going on 10 hours with no cell or internet service and with 911 calling down in multiple counties. We can only connect to internet through a Verizon iPhone hotspot. We can only hope and pray the 911 outage hasn't cost lives. So it was reported in several instances that not only did 911 go down, there was hundreds of miles of outages with AT&T service. They actually grounded the Nashville airport. So there's a lot of weird things with this. And so the bizarre part is, in my mind, it kind of sticks out, is this was parked right near the AT&T building when the explosion happened, and supposedly knocked out all of the communication services. Right, so that's the bizarre thing. So if you're going to go downtown and park it in a particular spot where you can kind of do the most, I don't know, let's say have the most widespread damage, that would be probably one of the key places you could do it. Right. So anyway, just kind of curious regarding all of this because of the bombing, and it's being called a suicide and suicide bombing, which of course doesn't match any of like the actual protocols of what a suicide bombing really are. So I mean, there's no mass casualty incidents here. There's no there's a lot of things that just kind of don't add up at this point. So we're going to keep an eye on this as we always do, and as it develops, and we'll talk about it probably tomorrow with a little bit more of this. But that's what this looks like for now. That's what it sounded like from the surveillance footage, and yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Nothing much else to say about it right now, but definitely some weird stuff happening with it, and it makes you wonder, right? Like if it doesn't fit the typical thing, then it definitely makes the tinfoil tingle, right? I think that's probably what we're looking at here. So, okay. With that said, it is what it is, and we'll keep an eye on it as it develops. And they did say they found the guy, and they believe he was part of the explosion. And I think the DNA has confirmed it at this point. That's what I just saw on a news conference just before we started this show. So, again, I don't have that footage. We'll play it tomorrow and kind of talk about it and fill in the details that we've missed. But that's it. Like I said, if you want the full tinfoil treatment on this, check out the show from last night on Troubled Minds. The whole show was pretty much about this and some other bizarre things that might